The Oculus Rift is an expensive bit of kit. VR headset costs a lot of money, and for gamers, it's all about increasing the level of immersion. But there's nothing quite as immersion breaking as when your expensive VR headset just stops working.
Oculus Rift users all over the world found the VR headsets had stopped working this week. The virtual world fell into darkness for all PC users around the globe as their Oculus VR headsets were basically bricked. Owners trying to fire up the Oculus software were met with an alert pop-up with the words, "Can't reach Oculus runtime service. Your Oculus software may be updating. Please wait a minute and try again. If the issue continues, contact Oculus support." Users soon hit Twitter, Reddit, and official Oculus forums to ask what the hell was going on. NeoWin.net reports that after some digging, it turns out the issue came down to an expired security certificate in the Oculus runtime service. The Rift software has to connect to the runtime service to work, but the current version of the Oculus app framework.dll file is outdated. The issue has affected every single Oculus headset.
The only solution posited online for a while was for users to set back the date on their computers to March the 6th or earlier. The problem with that, of course, is that it could mess up any other software that depends on your PC having the right date. Oculus founder Nate Mitchell eventually responded on Twitter to this, saying the company is aware of an issue affecting Rift on PC. He followed with another update on Reddit to reassure owners the team was working on it before the company released a tiny 4 MB patch to fix the problem on Thursday. An issue is one way of putting it, yeah. So I guess Oculus Rift owners were panicking a little bit, thinking that their headsets had died, but it was basically everyone. Everyone who's got one of these. It was just a worldwide problem. Anyone who uses this with their PC, the software couldn't run, and the software couldn't run, so the headset didn't work. I can't imagine anything more annoying than dropping like 400 quid on a headset and then the computer saying no mate, not today.
Computer says no.
Yeah,
computer says no. It's like that old Millennium Bug thing, isn't it? Everyone was expecting their computers to die on the Millennium, but it never actually transpired. But because that was a date issue, right? And this is the same thing. It was a date issue. It expired because it had gone beyond a certain day. So maybe it was a whole day or something that on the 7th you weren't able to play it on your Oculus Rift.
4 megabytes. That's all it took.
A little patch
fix it for everyone.
Yeah, just to update the date on one of the files. So that's a bit of an oversight. Surely you should be on top of that shit. And so as annoying as this is, when your hardware doesn't work properly, it isn't the first time that it's happened. So we took a look back and we've come up with a really short list of some of the other times that users were just not able to get on with this shit.
The red ring of death. Microsoft's Xbox 360 was rushed to market at the beginning of the last console generation, and the early adopters paid the price. The red ring of death is possibly the single most iconic example of a console hardware failure. The red ring, of course, referred to the red light that appeared around the console's front power button for seemingly no reason to the user. The of death referred to the console being dead when that red light appeared. The original line of Xbox 360s was estimated to have a failure rate of as much as 45%, which is unbelievably high, but Microsoft managed to scrape through the potential scandal without ever really acknowledging the problem. They never actually came out and said, yeah, the red ring of death is a huge problem and we're recalling all these consoles. It was all very quietly managed, and there were other issues with to do with the disc tray and stuff like that somehow that was taking the flack, that was what people were talking about a lot at the time. It did kind of grow into a meme and stuff, and it's really well known, and it's like the biggest single instance of a hardware failure for a console that I can think of. And it's because it's a red circle. It's like, what's the clearest, most cartoonish way that your console can tell you it's about to die? There's a big red glowing circle on it.
I saw a video on YouTube how to fix it, right? And it's quite really funny. You put an earbud in the fan at the back.
I don't like where this is going already.
Honestly, that's it. You put an earbud in the back of the fan, and that stops the fan going. I don't know. That was one of the solutions. How stupid is that? 45% failure rate, and they didn't even acknowledge it. Oh, that's ridiculous. Although I never had one. I never had a 360. So, I was alright. The yellow light of death. But the 360 was not the only console to suffer a critical and seemingly random hardware fault last generation. The PS3 had its own version of the red ring of death, the yellow light of death, which sounds unbelievably lame in comparison, but it was still pretty bad. The yellow light of death was a similar "your console is about to die" warning that appeared for users out of the blue. A lot of colours here, isn't there? Yellow, blue, red.
Yeah.
I mean,
very true. Blue is like Sony's colour as well, so that's, you know.
Can make a whole rainbow of these failures.
Console hardware crashes.
It was caused by a variety of hardware faults. It wasn't one particular error, but Sony's advice was basically just to send it into a Sony service centre. While not as widespread, memorable, or well named as the Red Ring of Death, it was still a massive pain for Sony gamers.
What a shit name for a thing that is. But for Sony, that was basically just the something's wrong light. That's what the difference was with PS3. So it could have been anything, but the fact remained that it still did happen for people. They would just be sitting there playing a game, and suddenly the yellow light comes on, and they haven't dropped the console or anything. It's just stopped working. So the effect was the same, and it was bloody annoying, but shit name. The Great PSN Hack of Death. Now this isn't really a hardware problem, but still. Sony's biggest and most memorable problem last gen was not the yellow light of death, it was the Great PSN Hack of death. Sony had to take their online service PlayStation Network down completely for over 3 weeks in 2011. The outage was basically forced on Sony as hackers gained access to the personal details of around 77 million users without encryption protection. It's still one of the biggest, worst security compromises in internet history, and it stopped us playing games online. So annoying.
Not to mention revealed our personal login information and maybe payment information, all that kind of shit, unencrypted. Well done, Sony. I remember that, and I remember seeing on Facebook at the time when it was still cool that my friends were having problems. They couldn't play for 3 weeks. Sort your shit out, Sony. And I was like, ha ha ha, I play PC.
Yeah, nothing's ever gone wrong with PCs.
Diablo's Error 37 message of death.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so this isn't exactly hardware, but I guess it is server related. Who cares? It's our list. Error 37, gaming's most famous, frustrating error message, cursed Diablo 3's launch on May the 15th, 2012. Players excitedly logging into Blizzard's action RPG were hit with a cold, stony wall of Error 37. They just could not play the game at launch. It was caused by the sheer overload of the Battle.net login servers, and most frustratingly, it even stopped players playing the game in single player. That is frustrating, isn't it? To play a game, you have to be always connected online. This is the reason that this kind of shit shouldn't be allowed. You buy a game, day one, it happened with SimCity as well,
yep.
Where it was a single player game, but you had to always be logged in. So at launch, because the servers were down, you can't play your fucking game. It's so annoying when this happens, and this is the number one example of this happening. Error 37 is one of the biggest gaming memes out there. Diablo 3 was so highly anticipated, loads of people were so excited to play this game, they just couldn't.
Well, this is the Saturday show, so let's take a look at the comment section of death. First up, commenting on our Is Something Big Happening with the Division video, DoMB says, is there a job for graphics downgrade director? I like that comment a lot because Ubisoft are famous with the Division especially, graphical downgrade, game looks great at E3.
Bullshitting.
Someone's got to be doing that, right? Someone's got to be directing that.
Yeah.
Is there a job for that? It's probably not called the graphics downgrade director.
Someone's in charge of that shit, though.
Hype management director?
There's no hype management, is it? That's the problem.
No, there you go. But no, there is no such job. I don't think so. If you're thinking of applying.
Yeah, you shit out of luck. Next up on the same video, Innerfire Gaming says, a mouse stays inside, a rat stays outside. So if a rat comes inside, is it a mouse? And if a mouse goes outside, is it a rat? That is some profound shit right there. It's so profound. It's completely beyond me. I've got no explanation of that. I can't get my head around it, honestly. I'm sure it means something.
Sounds like it could be very
clever. It should be really fucking clever.
Like he was sitting cross-legged when he typed it, you know.
Just like this, yeah. I'm sorry, dude. I've got no idea what the you're on about with that one. He's put some thought into it, though, at the very least. A rat, a mouse, I mean, you can never tell. Next up on the PUBG versus Fortnite video, Mela comments, both are trash. Kirby Battle Royale. Maybe.
There's Battle Royale everything now, so
I would not be surprised. Kirby Battle Royale and What? To be honest, what even is Kirby?
Well, I'd be more surprised if there wasn't a Kirby Battle Royale. Honestly, that's just the way things are going. A lot of money in it.
It's the state of the industry today.
Yeah. Commenting on last week's Sunday Roundup, Guy with Knife says, Bloodborne is the best game ever, so Mike and Jake should continue talking about it forever.
It's funny how you picked that comment to read, eh?
Yeah.
That's funny.
The
Such
thing
a
about
coincidence.
Bloodborne is it's such a good
comment.
game, and they're giving away free now. Couldn't be happier for everyone who's yet to experience it. I'm just sorry that Jake isn't here to agree with me.
It's not like I don't like the game. I've never played the game.
Yeah.
It's just they talk about it so.
I need to play it now though, just because it's up there now, isn't it?
That's it. I'm going to play it and think, impress me, and it's just not going to meet my expectations.
Yeah.
And that's your fault, Mike. You've got to take responsibility for that.
One of the greatest games ever made.
It's like the Mrs. Doubtfire effect. I was told Mrs. Doubtfire was going to be an awesome film, right? I went to the cinema and it was shite, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" I was expecting better.
I thought Mrs. Doubtfire would be better. Yeah, that's the only time anyone could ever compare Bloodborne to Mrs. Doubtfire, the Robin Williams classic.
It wasn't a classic though, was it? It was shit.
That's the problem, wasn't it? Everyone was calling it a classic. So can you think of any more memorable hardware gaming fails? Anything that just stopped you playing and it wasn't your fault? Let us know down in the comments. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this every day. There's another video right there which you can watch right now if you want, and the link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. See you next time.